Hi, welcome back to the Box of Lives game channel. We're playing Space Alert. In this episode we're going to start the resolution round, and this is the second part of the game where we see how the flight actually progresses according to our plan down here. So I've set everything back up again, and this is the spaceship all set up ready as we did during the initial setup. What I've done though is I've removed all the numbered threat tokens that we don't need, so I've just left us with 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the other thing you're going to see is that the mission steps board is now placed in the middle, and this is the thing we're going to use for the resolution round. We don't need any of our cards now, we just need the actual threats that came out during the action round. In this section of the game we're not actually going to make any choices at all. All we're doing is we're going to follow strictly the rules this time. So this board is no longer used for planning, but this is actually going to simulate what actually happened on the ship. So it's like we are spectators really on this part of the game, and what we don't know is what's going to happen with these random elements. You see, we've made all our decisions. We did that during the action round. We planned which actions we're going to play in what sequence for which players. The resolution round, we're just going to resolve all those actions. Now, in order to make us easier to follow, I'm going to turn all these actions face down. You've got to be a little bit careful when you're turning these cards, because I want to turn them this way so that the action that I had at the top stays at the top. What I don't want to do is turn it upside down like that, because then I've forgotten. Alright, so I'm going to turn all these over, and then as we resolve each action I'll turn it face up, and hopefully that will help me explain and you can keep an eye on exactly where we are. Okay, we're all done. The other thing, during the resolution round, hopefully then you'll start to learn the mechanics of the game a little bit more clearly. And after we've gone through the resolution, you've actually seen the rules being applied strictly, you could, if you wished, go back and watch the planning round again, and hopefully then it will make a little bit more sense to you. First thing we need to do to begin resolution is place this blue marker on the mission steps board, and this represents the instant our ship emerges from hyperspace. The mission steps board is the thing that we're going to follow during the resolution round. I'm going to start here and we're going to follow the white arrows across the mission steps board, resolving each one of these iconic actions one at a time as we go along, and I'll explain them one by one as we progress. The emerging from hyperspace step is where we have everything set up as we did during the initial setup. The ship in its initial starting places, so shields at their initial starting level, everyone on the bridge, reactors fueled up at their starting capacity, and we're ready to go. Let's start by moving our marker one place ahead. Every time we see this number with an arrow, and this kind of represents the top of the trajectory track, this says a threat appears, and it's the threat that's numbered number 1. We only have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, so for number 1 nothing happens. So we'll move our marker one spot to the right. Every time you see these kind of blue cards and a numeric in the middle, this represents player actions, and the number says we now need to trigger all the actions that we planned for T+1. And we're going to start and we're going to play them in the order we planned them, so it's blue, green, red, yellow, and these are all the actions number 1. Alright, so let's turn them over one at a time. So the blue player will press the B button with a +1 bonus. Remember, all our players start up here on the bridge in the upper white station. So here's our blue player. He's standing here on the bridge, and here's the B button. And the B button will charge our shields. And we're going to charge them up there to their maximum capacity 3 and +1 because of the special bonus. Alright, so we're going to take, we've got 1 here, so we need 3 more from the central reactor and boost our shields up to strength 4. I'm pretty happy with that because that protects the central white zone from this asteroid that I know is going to fly in on T+2. The green player then, he's going to use the gravilift, and that means we'll move from the upper station to the lower white station using this lift. Red, action number 1 is going to press the C button. And the C button in the upper white station is grabbing one of these grey cubes. This is computer maintenance. I'm going to place this cube on the mission steps board at this point here. There's a little question mark in the computer. What that means is when the action marker gets there, if we've got a grey cube here, then we've successfully completed computer maintenance. If the grey cube isn't there, then there's going to be problems. I'll explain that when we get there. Finally, the yellow player is also going to use the gravel lift to move from the upper white station to the lower white station. Now here's a problem, and this is the first little rule that you'll need to learn. The problem is that only one player can use the same gravel lift in one turn. Now green's already used it, so whoever chose to go use the gravel lift first gets to use the gravel lift. Yellow is still going to make it down, but what the rules tell us is that they can't take the lift because green's using it. They're going to have to take the ladder down instead. And when they take the ladder down, so they still make it down into the white zone, but they are delayed. Alright, so they've had to take a little bit of a longer time. They've been slightly delayed going down the ladder rather than using the lift. Now what this means is, although yellow did get to go down and change from the upper to the lower deck, his next action must be delayed. So this action here must shift one space to the right. Okay, so next action is going to be blank for yellow player. Now I was fortunate because this card, the next action that had to shift to the right, there was an empty space here. If there wasn't an empty space, then every card to the right needs to shift down until there's an empty space. Okay? Imagine I had another action in here, right? If everything shifted along, this last action would drop off the end if there wasn't any gaps in my plan. So as it was, this is where I was, this one shifted to the right. And we're kind of safe. Everything from this point onwards now stays where it was originally planned. So look out for that. Leaving gaps in your plan is not a bad tactic, just to kind of mitigate the problems that delays may impose on the rest of your plan. So there we are then, both green and yellow have made it down to the lower deck, but yellow is now delayed and will take no action on the next turn. Let's move the marker on one more place. Now this one now says resolve any cannon fire. So if we had planned any cannon fire during the last action turn, then now we would actually execute that cannon fire. We didn't as it goes, so this is going to do nothing. So let's move one more to the right. This icon here tells us that our threats will now move. But remember, we're still at T+1 and no threats have appeared yet, so nothing's going to happen. So we'll move once more. Now we've got a threat appearing and the number in the box is a 2. So we do have a T+2 threat. It's the threat card with the number 2 token on it, which is our asteroid here in the white zone. These tokens are going to stay here on the threat cards so we know which threat corresponds to which action turn. But this is why we've got a second set of tokens. So we're going to take the number 2 token and we're going to place it here on the start spot of the white zone trajectory. And that shows us that that threat is now out there in space, hurtling towards us in the white zone. Let's move the mission step on one more. Right, player actions number 2. Right, action round 2, let's start turning these. So we've got blue moving to the right. So I'll move from the upper white zone to the upper blue zone. The green player is pressing the B button. And green is now down here in the lower white station. So what does pressing the B button here do? A is for firing the pulse cannon, C is for looking out this window, B is for spending one of these energy capsules. So we're going to spend this and we're going to fill up the central reactor to its maximum capacity, which is 5. Red is going to press the A button, and red's still here up on the bridge in the central white station. And pressing the A button here is going to fire our heavy cannon in the white zone. And firing heavy cannon costs 1 energy, and the white zone heavy cannon is fueled by the central reactor. So we're going to grab one of these green cubes and we're going to place it up here on the heavy cannon. And this tells us that we've spent 1 energy and we're firing our cannon. But that's all we do at this stage, right? We just move the energy and indicate that we're going to fire the cannon. The actual act of firing the cannon is not going to happen until we move the marker on the mission step 1 spot to the right there. And that is in fact our next step, because yellow is not going to do anything on this action turn. So let's move our mission step along 1, and now we're at the point where we can fire our cannon. Now this heavy cannon in the centre here, it has a range of 3, and it does 5 hit points worth of damage, reduced by the threat's shields. These cannon can only hit a threat coming at them on the trajectory in their respective zone, and it's going to hit the nearest threat to them within their range. So the heavy cannon within range 3, so that's all the way up, it's going to hit this number 2 token, which we know represents the asteroid. And if we're going to do 5 damage, I'm going to grab myself 5 red cubes. I'm going to reduce this by the number on the shields, which for an asteroid is 0, right? An asteroid hasn't got any shields. So we're going to do 5 hit points worth of damage, but that's not enough to destroy it because it's got 9 hit points. Alright. And then finally, we remove that green energy cube that's now spent, that's shot off and hit that asteroid. And we can put it back in the supply. Okay, so that's the compute damage step complete. We'll move our marker 1 spot to the right. And here we see the threats move. There's also this little rocket image here, and that reminds us if we had fired any rockets, they would now move at this point along the rocket track, which is this thing here. We haven't fired any rockets as it goes, so all that's going to happen is our threats are going to move. And remember, we've still only got our 1 threat, the asteroid, and we haven't destroyed it, so this asteroid is going to move. And it's going to move according to its speed, which is this number here, which is 3. So we're going to take our number 2 token and going to move it 3 spots down the trajectory track. 1, 2, 3. Okay, it hasn't reached anything, it hasn't hit that X, so nothing special is going to happen just yet. So let's move our mission along 1 more step, and here we come to the computer maintenance step. Yes, we've performed computer maintenance, so nothing happens. If we hadn't performed computer maintenance, then at this point all players' actions would be delayed. So all the blue stuff would shuffle up like that. Green wouldn't be so bad because it would just got an empty spot there to move into, and likewise red. But yellow would have to shift everything along, and this last action would drop off the end. So delays are really bad. So computer maintenance is really important, because that would have just, you know how when I was planning I was trying to synchronize all my actions so things were happening at the same time and everything was just counting just right. If you start having delays happen, things are just going to start going haywire. Right, mission step. Next we have a threat appears, T+3. We didn't have a T+3 threat, so nothing new on this turn. So we'll move along and we'll get to take the player actions. And for blue that's going to be a pressing of the B button. And blue's over here in the upper blue station. And pressing the B button here is going to recharge their shields. And the blue station shields are fueled by the blue lateral reactor. So we'll take 1 green cube and we'll push it up there, because it's got a maximum of 2. We just fill it back up to 2. Alright. Green player now. Everything's going kind of alright at the moment, so let's hope things stay on track. Green's pressing the C button here in the lower white station. So we'll take a grey cube, and this represents visual confirmation. It's not really going to do very much, but what I will do is take this grey cube and I'm going to place it here on the mission steps board in the number 1 spot. For every player that hits the C button in the lower white station, so for each player that does visual confirmation, in the same phase, we'll move this thing up one more time. So this is how many times you do visual confirmation in a single phase. And all this is going to do is it's going to give me some bonus points at the end of the game. Right, let's move on. Red. Action turn 3 is pressing the A button. So red's firing this cannon once more. So let's grab a green cube from the central reactor. There are some there because the green player was wise enough to reload up with energy. And remember, we're going to place this here to show that we've fired this cannon. And now finally yellow can take his delayed action, which is a move to the right. So yellow's moving to the lower blue station. Right, mission step moves up again, and it's going to be compute damage. So we've just fired this central heavy cannon again for 5 damage in the white zone. So let's grab our 5 red cubes, because we're hitting this asteroid again. That's 10 hits on there now. And that's enough to destroy the asteroid. We needed 9 hits to destroy the asteroid. Great job, Space Cadets. Alright, we removed the number 2 tokens. This asteroid's gone from the game now. We can put these back in the supply. And we'll take this asteroid as a trophy. Well, so far, so good. Now the asteroid has this ability that says, when destroyed, attack 2 for each X and Y square it passed. Now as it goes, it hadn't passed any, so it's not going to do any damage to my ship. Now we take the energy from the cannon, put that back in the supply also. Well, nothing's gone too badly wrong so far. We had one little delay which had no consequence, and we're 1 threat down, 4 to come out and go. Threats move now, but this will do nothing because there's no threats on the board. So we're going to wrap right around to begin phase 2. Join me next time.